If you look around, you'll see the world can be pretty smart. Okay, very smart. At Capella University, we think education should be smart too. That's why we're reshaping online learning with our FlexPath format. You can set your own deadlines, take classes at your own pace, even leverage your previous experience to move faster. So when it comes to earning your bachelor's degree, you know what kind of choice to make. A smart one. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn smarter.
Hey guys, welcome. It's time for our Christmas episode here on the Inside Line Formula One podcast.
Merry Christmas, guys, and we will wish you a Happy New Year in the next episode because that's going to be between Christmas and New Year's. But have a lovely festive time ahead. It's time for a break, so make sure you guys get one.
Merry Christmas, guys, and Kunal. Kunal, where is my Christmas gift?
Well, I have informed Santa Claus that you've been a great host in 2019, so now it's up to him to give you a gift.
Convenient.
And even if Santa doesn't take my word, maybe he'll make his own judgment. Because the last I checked, we've got a lot of listens coming in from the Arctic Circle. So there's a damn good chance that Santa's heard you in action on our podcast.
Thank God for that. Kunal, do you not want to know what your Christmas gift is? Ask me, what's my Christmas gift?
No, I
No?
don't want to.
You don't want to know what your Christmas gift is?
No, I don't know. I mean, see, I know.
I'm embarrassed.
Well, see, you love Kimi Raikkonen, but you cannot handle a Kimi Raikkonen type of an answer.
Oh my God, come on, Kunal. Only Kimi Raikkonen can do a Kimi Raikkonen kind of answer, but nice try.
Yeah, I mean, the least we can do is try and be like the Iceman. It's damn tough in and out of the car, but I tried.
So basically, you're not getting a Christmas gift. Now, this is on audio. This is done. This is proof.
Yes.
Okay, anyway, so we're going to discuss a lot of things, guys, on this episode. We're going to talk about how Red Bull Racing, they're ahead of their schedule with the 2020 car, as are Ferrari.
By now, you guys already know that Ferrari and Alpha Tauri have confirmed their dates for launching their car. I don't remember Ferrari's. Actually, no, wait. It's 11th of February, while Alpha Tauri is 14th of February. So thank you to Formula One for making it a fantastic Valentine's Day in 2020 for all of us anyway. But since we are on Ferrari, they're literally throwing every penny they can to win the title next year. They actually have a blockbuster budget, I'm told, and we will spend some minutes talking about Ferrari.
I'm going to do a What Chase Carey Said This Week section because he's been making some pretty interesting comments.
And in fact, I'd like to focus on Formula One, just about the sport and the business, and tell you guys how and what Formula One has in store to keep us all engaged and hooked to the sport till the Australian Grand Prix next year.
Finally, Max Verstappen said that 60% of today's grid could win a world championship in the Mercedes. Basically, guys, we're going to guess who didn't make the cut. So who are those 40% who cannot win a world championship even in a Mercedes?
Yes, and this is actually our feature story of this week. I think Mithila and I both have written some names and she doesn't know mine, I don't know her. So I'm interestingly looking forward to debating that list. But guys, remember to subscribe to us on iTunes, Audio Boom, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox. You know where to find us for your weekly dose of Formula One humor.
Okay, great. Kunal, let's talk about Ferrari. So they're already making noise about 2020. They've talked about spending enough money to focus on 2020 and 2021. And they've also been given an indirect public deadline to Sebastian Vettel. So Matteo Binotto said that they're going to make up their mind regarding the 2020 lineup by May next year. So I'm guessing Zandvoort or Spain or maybe even before.
Yeah, I know what you meant. You meant 2021 lineup, but this is what happens when we record in excitement. We sometimes just state the wrong years, but I know you guys still love us because of our natural selves on the podcast. But Ferrari are reportedly working on 3 different chassis types to test in the pre-season. And their car will reportedly have more drag, more downforce, and I'm just adding this, more top speed as well. Because, guess what happens when Ferrari has the quickest car? They also have more controversies. Because, hey, when Ferrari goes quickest, it's unfortunately assumed that they're definitely doing something wrong.
And unfortunately, I think the key word in all these Ferrari stories is reportedly. And I don't think I need to tell you why.
But Ferrari realized that they actually need to, sort of deliver the right tools because they have the best driver lineup that any team could ask for in Formula One right now. They have two alpha male drivers literally gunning at each other, pushing the team forward and, capable of winning a world championship, right? And I'm sure you guys also heard that Sebastian Vettel has actually tried the vegan diet for 6 about odd weeks or something. He's actually trying all he can to sort of harness the same sort of energies and moods and concentration as Lewis Hamilton.
Or maybe he's been watching the Netflix show Game Changers. We haven't seen it yet, Kunal. We should watch it sometime.
Yeah, and he actually wants to change his game, so he's probably taken that too seriously. But he's Sebastian Vettel. Do you guys think he actually knows that Netflix exists? I don't know.
That's hard. But anyway, talking about Sebastian Vettel, there have been all these judgments regarding him from Helmut Marko and Bernie Ecclestone. Marko said that Sebastian Vettel is very, straight talking and very candid, and he's struggling with all the politics at play at Ferrari.
And, in fact, Helmut Marko said that Vettel is no longer the top 3 drivers in Formula One. And I think it's a very fair and honest judgment of where Sebastian Vettel currently lies in the pecking order.
And Ecclestone also said something very interesting. And as we all know, he's a very good friend of Vettel. He isn't sure if Vettel would like to extend his stay in Formula One post 2020.
For me, it's actually a little too early to see Sebastian Vettel go. I think he's got a lot of rewriting to do, if I may use that word. For his talent and for his caliber in Formula One. I really wish that he stays and sort of proves that what we actually have seen of Sebastian Vettel in the last few seasons is actually only his shadow and that his former self exists in the world of Formula One. But, if Vettel goes, I think there will be interesting times for the silly season in 2021 already, I think.
That would be very exciting.
And as early as May, if Ferrari decides one way or the other, or if Vettel decides to go, because I'm actually told that Liberty Media is scouting a seat for Fernando Alonso. And they're actually finally doing what Bernie Ecclestone did all along. Try and retain the best talent.
But unfortunately, Helmut Marko and Matteo Binotto, they've both publicly declined interest in Alonso. And as we know, McLaren doesn't have space for Alonso.
And at the moment, I think the only team that could have had space for him is Williams, but that seat is also gone to Nicholas Latifi. Sorry, with all due respect to Fernando, I know he doesn't deserve even the W of Williams, but you know what Liberty Media should do? They should do for Fernando Alonso what they're trying to do for Miami. Basically, make an exception, right? So for Miami, Liberty Media has waived off the hosting fee and instead they are reportedly, looking to enter into a profit-sharing agreement with the organizers, right? And for Alonso, maybe they should do just that with one of the top teams, field an extra car, foot the bill to run that team. And maybe become a Ferrari or a Mercedes customer team and literally just buy the package off. Now, guys, I know that's against the rules, but I guess that would be the only way to get Fernando Alonso back in Formula One since none of the other top teams want him.
Ouch, that sounds very painful. Anyway, Kunal, let's talk about Red Bull Racing and Max Verstappen. So Helmut Marko claims that Red Bull Racing, they're 14 days ahead of schedule for the 2020 car. So basically, they're going to race the Bahrain Spec Car in Australia.
Only you could have thought of something like that.
And I've also noticed how Helmut Marko is absolutely obsessed with driving Red Bull Racing's World Championship agenda forward because he seems to be mentioning it at every damn opportunity.
But there is some discrepancy in what Marko has been saying though. So he's right now said that Red Bull Racing is targeting 5 wins again in 2020. And with those 5 wins, they're also targeting the World Championship, right? So I looked up the history books because I was a little curious, because we are in an era where Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton are winning 15 races through the year and then winning a World Championship and so on, right? So I thought, let me check when last was a driver a world champion by only winning 5 races in the season. And surprisingly, it was way back in 2011 when Sebastian Vettel was racing with Red Bull Racing, and he actually won just 5 races that season, right? But of course, back then were just 20 races. In 2020, we have 22 races, So irrespective of all the permutations and combinations, if Helmut Marko's predictions come true, we're going to have an intensely tough battle and a fight for the championship next season. And that to me is always a good sign.
That's a bloody good sign. And Kunal, let me tell you what else I'm interested in. So Max Verstappen made this comment that 60% of the grid could win a world championship in the Mercedes.
He's actually been having a go at Hamilton time and again, about how easy it is for him. So
Yeah, and I found it very interesting that he was so specific, 60% of the grid.
not 50, not 70, but
And that also then got me thinking, who are those 40% of the drivers who cannot win a world championship even in a goddamn Mercedes? So, Kunal, let's do this. Let's make a list. Who do you think is not making the cut on Max Verstappen's list?
It's going to be very cruel to build this list as I literally open my names of the notes. Or rather the notes with the names I've written, right?
Do you want to call the list something?
No.
The worst of the grid.
No, the drivers who couldn't be world champion in a Mercedes. Fine, let's call it that, right? But some quick math. So there are 20 drivers on the grid. So that means that 60% would mean 12 drivers can win the world championship. That's what Max Verstappen has claimed. So we now have to name 8 drivers who cannot win the world championship in the Mercedes. Now, it's a tough list when you come to think of it. So I'm going to just tell you to go first.
Convenient. And I'm going to go with
Ladies first.
Lance Stroll.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've actually picked the easiest of the lot, but it's going to be damn tough to argue with you out there. And I remember a lot of you have written back to us saying, the name for Racing Point's episode in the Netflix F1 show Drive to Survive season 2, we've recommended it to be, Rich Dad, Slow Kid. And I'm glad that you guys really liked it because I think that was our best entry.
It was definitely up there.
Yes. So second in the list for me is Robert Kubica. Sorry, Robert. We really love you for everything that you stand for and what you've done to come back. But at this moment, it's the damn truth.
Okay, so I'm going to say that the next driver who cannot win a world championship even in a Mercedes is Romain Grosjean. And Kunal, I say this because I think he'd find a way to spin and crash the Mercedes too.
And then blame it on Marcus Ericsson.
Of course.
Because that's what we all do and that's what everyone's been doing when they see, accidents on the road these days. That's the meme doing the rounds, right? Truth. But this is actually where it gets tougher. I think we've literally chosen the 3 most obvious answers, so to say. But maybe
that was like the Q1 of the list,
But maybe it's time to put Danny Kvyat on the list because, while I love Danny Kvyat's recovery and his comeback into Formula One, the list has got to have 8 drivers, and I think now we've picked 4.
Okay, so since we're getting really gutsy with our choices, I think even Sebastian Vettel could be on the list.
Come on.
He has been spinning and crashing way too much, Kunal.
Come on, really?
Yeah. And so what if he's a former world champion? I mean, he's on my list.
Okay, I'm not going to debate it. I'm probably thinking of what to say. But right now, I know that I'm going to put another bold name on the list, which is actually an obvious choice that we are probably missing out on. And that's Valtteri Bottas. Because he's actually in a Mercedes, but he's still not winning a world championship.
Oh, that's a good one. That's
right?
A good one.
Sorry, Petri. We know you love Valtteri Bottas, but we are literally just stating a fact right now, right? So I think we've got 2 more to go. And my next on the list is going to be Kevin Magnussen. And I know we have a lot of Danish listeners and we're really sorry, but there are times when I feel like, shit, no, it's Kevin Magnussen. He is supremely talented and he can actually win the world championship. But again, it's 8 drivers on the list.
Someone's got to make that cut. But guys, this is a really tough task. So please don't hate us if your favorite driver gets onto this list. Some of our favorite drivers are also on the list, in fact. But I just want to say, we're just making this list for Max Verstappen. So please pass over all your anger and angst at that man. I mean, Kunal, he could have just said 80% of the drivers or something, and then our life would have been so easy, yeah?
Then you would have just picked like Stroll, Kubica, Grosjean, and someone else.
Yeah.
You don't care about.
He just made it really hard for us. Anyway, last driver. I'm gonna say Nico Hulkenberg.
Come on.
Kunal, I know you hate me for this, but he didn't even get a podium.
Okay, that's the truth, and we may not like it, or I may not like it, but I get why Nico Hulkenberg has made it to the list. But it's okay if you guys disagree with us, or even if you agree with us, or if you have a different list, feel free to share yours. You can send it over through our Facebook page. We're Inside Line F1 Podcast on the Facebook page.
Okay, great. So, speaking of Nico Hulkenberg, his replacement, Esteban Ocon, said that he's relieved to be joining Renault and isn't disappointed about leaving Mercedes. And I found that interesting.
So when Ocon was on our podcast last year, he actually said that he would rather race for the slowest team and car in Formula One than not race at all. And I think given that he was open to racing for Williams, Renault is definitely a better bet.
And Ocon is aiming for a podium in 2020.
Let's hope he's not disappointed because, given Renault's 2019 form, it seems like a far-fetched thought. But then again, nobody would have guessed McLaren's recovery in 2019 bases their form in 2018.
That's a very good point. Honestly, now we have so many exciting things about Formula One to discuss, Kunal. Formula One overall. So let's get down to it. So Formula One teams are going to be banned from covering their cars in garages during winter testing. And this rule has been introduced to make the sport more appealing to fans and the media.
And to allow teams to easily copy each other's designs as well. Because not everyone has an Adrian Newey in the team, right? But I think it's a great initiative, to sort of take the secrecy out of the sport.
Yeah, and teams are actually going to continue racing the 2019 spec tires in 2020. I can only imagine how much time and money Pirelli would have wasted on this exercise, but okay.
Honestly, I understand the decision, because teams already know how the 2019 compounds react and, how they have to be set up and so on. So why go learning on new tire behavior in 2020? Because anyway, there's going to be different tires in 2021, right? So I think this continuity will help Formula One overall. But there's absolutely no doubt that this is a waste of an exercise that would have cost Pirelli time, effort, energy, money, all of that.
And also how such wasteful development would impact the net zero carbon initiative in the future. Kunal, I'd love to know.
Moving on from net zero carbon initiative, I'm going to talk of the net marketing initiative that Formula One sort of has, right? So they've got a plan in place to keep us engaged and hooked to the sport in the off season, just that they haven't actually announced the plan. But here we go. We're going to share it with you because we know you guys are suffering from withdrawal symptoms as much as we are.
And we love you guys.
Yeah,
Consider this our Christmas gift to you. No strings attached.
Well, in December, Formula One has released a lot of videos, those season recap videos and, the meme videos and especially the best radio messages, the animated radio messages videos.
Those were pretty awesome. I love watching.
Yeah, and they're running all these polls, some of them are pretty ridiculous and I don't even bother about them, but you have the best team, best driver, best action, best rookie, best race, best podcast. Thank you for voting for us, guys, and all those things. Right? In February, we're going to have car launches and pre-season testing, followed by the races in March. And of course, we're all waiting for season 2 of the Netflix F1 show Drive to Survive as well. So that's also part of the marketing plans.
I'm wondering about January, of course, Kunal. I'm wondering what they have in mind because they'll have a few podcasts and I'm sure more videos and engagement on social media. But I really love how Limerick Media is using social media to literally feed our hunger for Formula One, in these trying months.
Especially when you go back and think of Bernie Ecclestone and how we literally ignored social media till like a couple of seasons ago, right? And, the news is already out that Lewis Hamilton got legal notices from Bernie for using social media during Bernie's days of, when he was
terrible.
Yeah, when he was the emperor of Formula One, right? I can only imagine how Bernie Ecclestone is getting the jitters each time Formula One puts out a video from the races, all that copyright footage being distributed for free.
And for all of you guys who love perfumes, Formula One's launching a co-branded line of perfume soon. That's I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, are you surprised pleasantly or are you shocked or what?
I don't know. It just seems so uncharacteristic in a way.
You know, if they're expecting me to purchase a Formula One branded perfume, they better have the smell of petrol or rubber or, none of the other sweet fragrances will make the cut for me.
Okay, Kunal, we got the message. No perfumes for you for Christmas.
So, Formula One has extended their relationship with Codemasters till 2025. This is for the official Formula One video game. And frankly, if I were Codemasters, I'd just be annoyed because given how much promotion the Formula One drivers do for FIFA, and that's actually programmed by a business rival called EA Sports.
Yeah, in fact, guys, we had this blockbuster episode on our podcast where we said that FIFA is the official video game for Formula One. And you guys should go back and hear that if you all haven't, because I remember that being a pretty awesome episode for us.
Yeah, and we absolutely still stand by that review. I'm still envious of Max Verstappen's traveling FIFA kit as we all, identified it.
Great. And guys, it's now time for the closing notes on this week's episode. So Chase Carey's made some pretty interesting statements, especially against Formula E. So let's wrap it up with a What Carey Said This Week section. Okay, guys?
Yeah, Mithila's very favorite, very good in wrapping up things. Like there's a What Wolf section and there's a What Carey Said section. But I love it. And I know a lot of you guys love the What Wolf section.
When you said wrapping up things, I thought you were making like an underhanded like Christmas gifts joke. But okay.
No
anyway, Chase Carey said that Formula E is no threat to Formula One. And it's basically a street party in comparison to Formula One.
At the moment, I think he's right. Because if we were to consider Formula E's current state, it isn't a threat. There's no doubt in that. It's a young series. It's still creating its own niche and audience. It has got slower cars. The format is different, but it is more fun. It requires a lesser time commitment and all of that. And the sports consumption patterns are evolving with each passing generation. So if not in the present, maybe in 10 or 12 years, who knows? Formula E may just challenge Formula One's status, especially if the big manufacturers that Formula E has stay back in the series.
In fact, I really like how Jean Todt explained it. He said that Formula E can never match Formula One unless an electric car is able to race at Formula One speeds for 300 kilometers or so. Basically the current race distance.
Well, I'll tell you one point of parity where Formula E is better. Its rules seem simpler.
Way simpler.
Yeah, and Chase Carey himself admitted that Formula One's rules are complex and not everyone understands them completely and so on. I mean, if you ask Kimi Räikkönen, he may not know the rules completely.
He won't.
He'll just say, I turn the steering left and it goes left, and I turn it right and it goes right, and there are two pedals and a clutch in my hand. And that's probably where he's going to end his description.
And Kunal, let's talk about Toto Wolff just so he doesn't feel bad that Chase Carey replaced him in our weekly section. We have to take his feelings into account. Right?
Yeah, actually it was supposed to be the other way, or it is supposed to be the other way, where Wolff is supposed to replace Carey. But, on the podcast, it's, Carey who's replaced Wolff.
Anyway, Toto Wolff agreed with Chase Carey's view on Formula E. But forget that. Did you know that Toto Wolff has a performance doctor who helps him take care of himself? I want a performance doctor.
You're performing well on the podcast, right?
Still,
so yeah, but why not? Because it's so conflicting, right? Because on one hand, you have Max Verstappen, who doesn't believe in working with a sports psychologist and so on, and we've spoken about that several times over, right? And then on the other hand, Mercedes have a performance doctor for their team principal, who isn't even sitting in the car, who isn't even taking all the strategy decisions. I think that's incredible. I think it's just testimony to how high performance every single role in a Formula One team is.
Yeah, and before we sign off, so this was interesting. Mercedes will pay nearly $5 million to enter the 2020 Formula One World Championship. $5 million.
Yeah, I tweeted about it. And with great performance comes greater entry fees to Formula One.
As long as they have a performance doctor, it's all good.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to celebrating Christmas, and we will see you back after Christmas with our most awaited Inside Line F1 Podcast Awards. Adios.
Adios, guys.
me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.